We are preparing to go live on YouTube. Hello, and welcome to another live taping of the Confidence Restored podcast by CC America. This show is all about faith, inspiration, and transformation. And we are so excited to have with us tonight the fantastic and fabulous ladies of the Fortitude Collective. So you are in for a treat as they share a little bit more about who they are and what they do. So to kick us off, I am going to have each of these beautiful ladies introduce themselves, starting with Ashley. So Ashley, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself? So I guess you can think of it as your elevator pitch. If you were to meet someone, who would you say Ashley is?
Hello, everyone. As she mentioned, my name is Ashley. I am a Rochester, New York native. And I am a generational curse breaker. When I think of a 30-second pitch, that is what I lead with. I am someone who has strived all my life to kind of set a path for those who come behind me. And also some that come before me. I'm the first in my family to go to college and to graduate with a degree. I now have 2 degrees, which I'm very proud of. And I am a business owner. Curated Creatives LLC, which started in January, is an event curation and travel experience company. It's something that I dreamed of for a very long time. And after like 9-10 years of saying I'm going to do it and planning things for people, I just stepped out on faith and decided to make it official. I'm also a public servant. I've worked in the nonprofit space for like 22 years at this point. And so I am really about giving back, especially to young Black girls, and kind of just showing people that it's okay to pivot. It's okay to do things differently. It's okay to walk your own path. Don't be afraid to fail and, to do what makes you happy. So I'm out here trying to live my best life.
I love it. Thank you, Ashley. And yes, hats off to you and everything you've accomplished and keep on living your best life. So looking forward to hearing more from you tonight. And next, I'd like to turn it over to Jasia.
Good. Hi, everybody. I'm Jasia Smith. I liked Ashley's introduction, so now I'm thinking of how I would describe myself. And I like to think that I am a revolutionary change agent. So for a long time, people are very comfortable with gradual change and slow change. So I like to come and disrupt norms and make things new that need to be re-examined and rethought. So professionally, I'm an attorney. I'm a public servant as well. But I think my biggest thing is I am a good troublemaker. So if there are things that need to be said, I will say it. If there are systems that need to be challenged, I'll challenge it. So for me, I am a revolutionary change agent. That's Jasia.
I love it. And we are happy to have the revolution televised tonight, okay? So congrats to you as well. And now I'd like to turn it over to Taquanda.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Taquanda Hill. I'm a mom, I'm a wife. Professionally, I'm a transformational leader. I am known to just get stuff done. I'm at a point right now in my life where I'm just, I'm excited, I'm fulfilled, I'm unleashed, I'm taking risks. I wouldn't say that I'm living on purpose right now, but I feel like I'm finding my way and I'm enjoying it. But most importantly, I'm creating a space for women and I'm intentional about bringing women along. I'm breaking barriers. I'm going indoors and I'm doing what I need to do to get done. I am an up and coming transformational leader that's making big moves and I'm excited.
Amen. And I'm excited as well. And welcome back to the show to our transformational leader, Taquanda. And now turning it over to Tamika.
Hello. I'm just excited and motivated just listening to everybody introduce themselves. My name is Tamika, and I am a wife, mother, daughter, sister, friend, educator. I like to think of myself as an advocate. I'm very passionate about equity, access, and inclusion, especially as it relates to education and those who are the most marginalized in our country, in our system. And I am at a point in my life where I am ready for all the next steps, and I am making room for everything that God has in store for me and that has already put on the path before me, that is just mine to claim, receive, and overflow and do. And yeah, I'm excited about it. I'm excited about all that's to come.
Amen. And we're excited to have you here as well, Tamika. Hats off to you too. So let me just recap real quick what I heard. We have a curse breaker, a revolutionary, a transformational leader, and an advocate, who is helping others gain access. So I am excited to have you all here. And I would love for you all to tell us more about the Fortitude Collective, because this is a strong group of dynamic women that we have on the show with us right now. And so please share with our guests, what is the mission of the Fortitude Collective? And then even any information you have to share with us with regard to how you got started.
I'll take how we got started, and then I'm going to yield the mission to one of my colleagues here. But the Fortitude Collective, I think, was birthed out of just a moment of frustration, right? So being a woman in leadership, there are times and experiences that we have in the workplace where you face these barriers or these roadblocks, and out of frustration, you just want to be able to call somebody and say, you ain't gonna believe what they did in this meeting today, right? So I think out of that space is just as trying to be a leader and trying to make spaces for other people, needing to go to a place or to be surrounded by people who fill you back up, right? As a leader, you're pouring out of yourself, you're helping your employees, you're helping the organizations that you serve be better and do better. But oftentimes you're pouring out of yourself and nobody's pouring into you. So Fortitude Collective is birthed out of needing to have the cup refilled and needing to say, I need a space where I can go with other like-minded women of color, my sisters, and say, listen, today was rough. Today was real janky, right? And I need somebody to tell me that I'm not crazy for having lived through this experience. And not only am I not crazy, that I am worthy, that I'm supposed to be here, that my voice matters. So the Fortitude Collective essentially is a space that we created where women can come and just get poured into, right? So that you can be encouraged, that you can hear other stories of other women who are actually being trailblazers in their spaces, and knowing that even in those down moments, there's a whole village of women around here, and everything that we need is right here. So oftentimes we're looking to other spaces and other resources, but I believe that everything that we as Black women, women of color, that we need, we already have it. It's within us. But every once in a while, we need to come to a space where we get our crown straightened and they polish our jewels and remind us that we are more than worthy, we are qualified, and that God is in fact making room for our gifts. So that is the premise behind the Fortitude Collective. We have an official mission, but that's what space we like to curate. I use that word from Ashley. We like to curate a space where women feel seen and heard and valued.
And that really is our mission, really, to create a space for the next generation of Black and Brown women that reaffirms, supports, and encourages them to bring their chair to every space they occupy, right? So like we all bought our chair here tonight. We're all bringing a chair. We're bringing whatever that looks like, whatever that chair might be to us in that moment in time, and feeling confident in bringing that into any room that you walk into, and knowing that you belong there and you own that space and your voice should be heard and can be heard in those spaces.
Yes.
And just elaborating a little bit more on that, because we talked about bringing our chair, we are all also members of the illustrious Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And that is where the Fortitude Collective's name came from. And the idea around bringing your chair to the table was also birthed from our soror, Shirley Chisholm, who says, if they don't give you a seat at the table, bring a folding chair, right? And so we kind of adopted that into our mission and our mantra of how we move forward and how we want other women to move forward in life, by always bringing your chair.
I think it's important that we stress the fact that, we're in our chair, but we're also owning our spaces. We're showing up, we're ready, we have the tools, and we're owning that. So I think that's important that we emphasize that we're bringing our chair to the world.
I love everything about this. And I can just say that it is very motivational. And I think this is work that definitely should be shared. And my hope is that thousands, millions of people will be able to hear what you all are doing and the impact that you can have on our community. So, speaking of bringing your chair, in February, the Fortitude Collective hosted its first conference, I Brought My Chair, solidifying the role of Black women in leadership. Can you tell us more about the event, what prompted you to host that particular conference, and the outcome or anything else that any of you would like to share about that experience?
All right, so our first virtual conference, I think, was the end of us toiling together as first girlfriends of women who have relationship with each other, but actually like trying to do business together. So that's another layer of friendship or sisterhood. Like it's all good when you are just brunching and being sorors and hanging out together. But when you venture into doing a business together, it tests and tries those relationships. So I'm thankful for these three women that they have endeavored on this journey with us. So I say all that to say that we had these grand ideas about having a conference. We have been in the midst of COVID for almost a year at that time. So virtual was the option that we had, but we thought it was important to bring women from different walks of life. So one of the things that I'm really proud of about our first conference is that we had very young women who are like newly into their career. We had some women who are middle career, and then we had some people who are more seasoned in their roles, and being able to hear their perspectives from their different industries was awesome. We had over 100 women there, and they actually stayed throughout the day. So we, broke the day from a general session, and then we broke into separate breakouts. But for me, I think what was very did my heart good, as the old people say, was that we had women from all different walks of life, from different states, from different age group, different demographics, and just different spaces in their womanhood. But I think that we all felt filled after that day, right? So something that we had, talked about over a random disjointed conversations and text messages ended up being a very good experience when my mother was on and my cousins were on and my line sisters were there. But it was a space where I felt that we were just getting started. So the one thing I could say about the first conference was it was good, but it was just the open. It was just the tip of the iceberg. But our ability to bring women together from various walks of life with various and such rich experiences for me was what was needed, particularly at that time, right? We're almost a year into COVID. We had been, stretched as mothers who had now had to work with kids being at home, or stretched as professionals who had to switch to completely remote. And for me as a government leader, working in the office through the entire pandemic, right? So there were different spaces and feelings, but I felt for us, it was a success because everybody left feeling good and feeling those warm fuzzies that you just need to kind of propel you through the moments that are not good, right? Because COVID was rough. It still is rough. And those periods of isolation and not knowing what's happening with your career, and people have been laid off. So all these things were happening. But for those 3 hours, we were in our glory. We were in our full selves with our, different hair and makeup and backgrounds and, in our camera. So it was just everything that's beautiful about Black women was on display. So it was phenomenal, but that is just the beginning of greater things to come.
Yes, I love that. Does anyone have anything they would like to add with regard to your experience?
I would say it was right on time. It's we were coming up on, I guess this year, is it this year, the year of the woman? And it was all of the topics, everything with DE&I on the rise. It was we couldn't have pulled that off at a better time. Our timing was perfect. And like Jacia said, I walked away very full. Having 100 women sit on a virtual conference for 3 hours. I mean, no one really dropped. Everyone was engaged. We had a DJ. I mean, it was just we felt together, connected. I had my family on too. And then what even was more enlightening is just the appetite for more. People are still saying, okay, let's continue this conversation. Let's do more. And then you're getting that conversation in your spaces of where you work. It's just a lot of women like us that's doing great things. And I just think that we couldn't have came at a better time. And I think, like you said, that was just the beginning, but I think the timing was perfect.
And I want to congratulate you all, because that, like you said, to go from having the vision, the text messages, the conversations, the fact, like you said, you all pulled it off and you made it work, but you also were able to give back to so many people. And you're right, with regard to the timing, because now with regard to diversity, equity, inclusion, as you all have mentioned, it is certainly the time to have the conversation, especially when we think about wages and other situations in the workplace where we are underrepresented. But I love that you are encouraging women, especially Black women, to bring their own chairs. Yes. So speaking of which, you all mentioned, the individuals staying on the entire time and being hungry for more. What can our listeners expect from the Fortitude Collective?
So right now we are in the midst of planning for our next conference. We had a planning retreat in August, end of July, August. And so we are gearing up to make things bigger and better. As Jasia and Taquana talked about, people were hungry for more and wanted to know what else we can do. And we still need those spaces, right? That environment that we created in February is still necessary. And so we're being more intentional about what that looks like going forward. And while the conference was the first, and like Jasia said, the tip of the iceberg, and we will be doing another conference in 2022, we also want to bring more things to those who want to engage with the Fortitude Collective. And so from our retreat in the summer, we've been cooking up some ideas and are excited to officially launch things in 2022.
Yes, well, we are certainly looking forward to that. So I know that you all have been learning things on your journey, and I love your introductions and just the diversity of the group that we have on the phone today. So with regard to your journeys in life, so it can be related to life, work, whatever you decide to share, what are some of the most impactful lessons you have learned to date? And I will let you all decide who takes this one first.
Well, I'll go first just because I have something that just happened recently at work with one of my staff. I think what I have learned and has been very impactful just during this pandemic is that work is work. And if I leave work tomorrow or something happens to me, they will find another me to get that job done. So as much as I want to love work and be committed to the work, it is what it is. It's the work, and they will replace me and they will move on. So I can be committed and I can love it, but it doesn't have to be the all being, the everything. And I think that I had gotten to a point where my work, my students, my staff was so important and I was so consumed by it that having that time away from it made me realize, one, yes, I do love this work, but it's hard work. Doing inclusion work, equity work, diversity work, trying to make sure that people have access, trying to convince people that people having access is important. It's draining, it's consuming. So finding those things that keep you motivated and keep you going. And I actually have a staff member right now who has cancer. And so just going through that process with them has humbled me, and it has motivated me more to kind of grab onto those other things in life that are important and that I want to spend time doing. So making time to go to my kids' football practices, not missing them, making sure that I'm spending time reading or working out and taking care of myself. Because if I don't take care of me, then I can't do all the other 500 things that I feel like are important. So that's been the most impactful thing that I think I've learned just through the pandemic.
I love that,
Tamika, I
Tamika.
just want to
Thank you.
say that is hilarious. You said that much more eloquently than I did, because I was going to jump on and say, quit your job if you feel like quitting your job. That was going to be the impactful thing that I learned. I tell my friends that all the time, but that is what you said is so true. And like I said, you said it much better than I was going to say it. It was nice wrapped up. You know, I appreciate that, but I think that is also a lesson. And I think I learned that some time ago. I think it was around the very first time I moved to Maryland, which was 7 years ago. But that I learned that lesson. Like, it's okay like Tamika said, we are so wrapped up in our work and in our jobs or careers, whichever one you're in and whatever word you like to use for it. And we care so much, and we, make ourselves sick, and we stay in unhealthy situations when it comes to work and careers, and forget that there is life outside of that, right? And Jasia talked earlier about God makes room for your gifts, and staying somewhere that's making you sick and you're unhappy, and things and you're neglecting parts of life that are also very important, is something to kind of rethink and not be too afraid to say, I need to do something different. Our conference talked a lot about pivoting, and being able and not being afraid. I myself spoke at the conference about just not, it's okay to walk in faith and fear, right? Things are scary. It takes a lot to change sometimes, but listen, we get one life. That's it. And we don't want to come to the end of it talking about our shoulda, coulda, wouldas, or I wasted time, or I, poured all my life into my work or my job or him or her or whatever it is, and just realizing that there was so much more that you wanted to do that you could have done. So yeah, I say all that to say, if you want to quit that job and find you another job, quit that job. Stats say right now, 4.9 million people or something like that have quit their jobs in the last few months, and it's a mass exodus. That's right. Leave, put them walking shoes on and go. There will always be something for you. I just want you to know that, especially if you are willing to show up and carry your chair when you get there. That's all right. It's gonna be a seat always for you. So yes, I echo what Tamika says. And one more lesson that I've learned is that I combined two of my favorite quotes. Well, a song and a quote, but we only have a minute in this world, right? And so with that minute, like, I hope you dance. I hope you find that joy. I hope you, figure it out what you're passionate about and what inspires you and motivates you. And, and do that. And it's not always just about work, and it's not always about a relationship, and it's not always about family, right? It's about you. And so, with your minute, I hope you dance.
Yeah, that's great. I would say I have two impactful things. One is, and you probably heard me say this a million times, for every no is a better yes. Like I take that with me everywhere I go. That's my mantra. And I also would say, I am it's funny because I think that even if I was to get $1 million, whatever dollars or whatever, I think I would still always have a space in corporate, because I've found my space, and that's change, transformation, and people. And now I'm doing a lot of work in DE&I, and I've hooked on to quote, you can't be what you don't see. So I'm on my own mission to make that path for young girls, because I have a little girl that's looking at me every day. So I would say, just from that alone, something recently that was impactful was I had a one-on-one with one of my leaders, and he told me to enjoy the present. Sometimes you're so gung-ho about that next, whatever that next is, and you don't even get time to enjoy the present. That right there was kind of a wake-up call for me, because I'm always thinking about what I got to do next, And now I'm in I could say it's a transitionary state where I'm actually trying to slow down and enjoy the present, and I'm actually loving what I do, and there's impact tied to it. So I guess, and with all those no's that I had before, it finally got to me to a space where my yeses have become so sweet.
That was good.
Yes.
For me, I think that the biggest lesson that I've learned on my journey is that like who your circle is matters. I have been immensely blessed with some sister circles that I will stand up against anybody. I wholeheartedly believe everything that I need, I already have it within one of my sister circles. But you need those circles to hold you accountable, to have a story about this group. So after, we're done with the conference and we're doing like our pluses and deltas, things that went well and things that didn't go well. It was an aha moment for me when they were like, you was a little bit janky, girl. You didn't carry your weight all the time, right? Because I'm in a space professionally where I'm the boss and people can't really tell me that I'm not doing that. I have a boss, but other than that, it's not that many opportunities for people to give me critiquing feedback, right? So I needed this space to hold me accountable. And from there, I've been checking myself at work, like in my other commitments, like in my showing up and like actually giving up myself. But I needed this circle to be like, you good, but you could have done this thing a little bit better. But at the same time, in those moments where I need to be affirmed or I need to be supported, I have friends who will speak my name in rooms I've never been to, right? And that will make connections for me because of the part that I play in their life. So for me, the biggest thing I've learned on this journey is you cannot do it alone, right? As smart as we are, as resourceful as we are, like we were made to be connected. So one of the things that I do struggle with is that I try to connect with everybody. So if there's 15 events, like me being late this evening, I'm going to try to go to all of them, right? Because I believe in the power of connection and the power of people being connected. So for me, it's like understanding that you have to have someone somewhere to help you along this journey. But then the burden of once you get here to always reach back. So, in doing all this DEI work that we've been engaged in over the last couple of years, I know I have a blind spot. And Black women are my blind spot. And I know that, and that's something that I own and I'm aware of, but I'm also okay with not changing, right? So there's a lot of times we want to fit into these molds. Like I do have a commitment to Black women in the workspace. I have a commitment to them being better, to them having more opportunities. And I'm okay with the consequences that carries along with it. Because I know that it's through those connections and through people actually connecting that we get to be our best selves and to be our best places. Like it's a great thing when you have friends around you who are speaking your names in rooms that you haven't had, making opportunities available to you, connecting the dots for you, and then you doing the same thing for each other. So for me, I love it when I get to connect some things for my friends or family and say, hey, I heard about this thing, you should do that. So understanding that even though we are mighty and we are magic, we are not meant to do this thing by ourselves. So finding a great network of other people that can support you on this journey and hold you accountable when you get a little janky.
I love it, ladies. That is so beautiful. And I love that you all have each other and that you all are sharing your mighty magic with all of us. So thank you. So as a team, you all wear many different hats, as you've shared earlier. We've talked about entrepreneurship, education, leadership, being an attorney. There's so many different hats that you all wear. How do you manage everything that you have going on? Because even with the Fortitude Collective, that in and of itself is another entrepreneurship venture. So how do you maintain a healthy work-life balance? Okay, go ahead, Taquanda. Yes.
You don't. Sometimes it's going to have to fall. It's going to have to fall and you're going to have to be okay with that. You can't manage it all. You can try all you want to, but it's okay to say it ain't together. Can I use your term to see it? It's janky, but we're going to roll with it and get it done. You can't. That's my version of it. I'm just like, I've come to the point now where you can't manage it all, but I can manage at that time what I need to manage.
Mm-hmm. Well, for me, Tamika gave me a very useful tool that I've just started using over the last 6 months, and it's actually my calendar. So now at least I can see my conflicts. I know it sounds simple. It sounds so simple.
So simple.
But now I can see my conflicts. I can actually see that I'm overbooking myself and I can try to better. So for me, I am a chronic overbooker. I overcommit my time, overcommit my I'm just like, I struggle with the no. I'm working on it, but it's a room for improvement. So hopefully at the next Fortitude Collective conference, we're going to have somebody talking about how the art of saying no, because I need some development in that space. But for me, at least now I get to see that, girl, you're doing too much, right? So now before I was in denial. Now I can see it. And the next phase is curtailing and saying no sometimes. So for me, it's like the simple things, a to-do list, a calendar. It helps. It sounds so elementary, but since I started using my Google Calendar, my life has been a little bit better.
I think
you can say things like, I have 4 things on Sunday. I got to do 4 things on Sunday, and they all around the same time.
That's the problem. Everything for her is all around the same time.
Exactly.
Is your work calendar like that? Because mine, I have like 5 meetings at 10 a.m. I done accepted them all.
For me, I think because I have this idea in my head of what self-care is supposed to look like, right? So people are like, oh, self-care, I go to yoga, or I do this, or I do that. So then it makes you feel like you're not doing self-care. But for me, my self-care came when it was, let me stop being a mom for 2 seconds, a wife for 2 seconds, everything to everybody else, and do what Tamika wants to do, right? So Tamika wanted to start a consulting business. I did that. I want to go get up and work out, or go work out on lunch. I do that. So it's me doing the things that I want to do while still being able to be those other things as well. That's how I feel like I pour into myself and take care of myself, because at one point in time, I wasn't doing any of those things I wanted to do. And I was starting to resent all the other things that I had to do. So now my self-care is that I found balance with being who I want to be and the things that are important to me, while balancing all the other things as well.
Yeah, I think for me, my friend says all the time, Ash, you're not doing nothing if you're not doing the most. So I am always doing the most, let's be clear. But I also feel like I have scaled back a lot. So I think for me, it's my definition of work-life balance. I mean, I've worked 3 to 4 jobs at one time, right? I've worked a job where I literally worked 23 hours straight, right? And it was not a doctor or a medical practice, right? So like, I've done a lot of different things in life around work. And I started to say, you know, with it came when, so I taught English in South Korea, like 11 years ago. And that experience was where I kind of learned my work-life balance. It was so stress-free over there. I went to work, I went home, that was it, right? And so when I came back to the States, I was like, yeah, I'm not working 3 to 4 jobs no more. Like, I don't ever want to be in a space where I feel like I have to do that. And talking about being a generational curse breaker, I'm always trying to outrun myself, right? Because I don't ever want to feel like I'm behind, and that I'm not living up to a label that I've given myself. And so I was like, I don't want to work 3 to 4 jobs. I don't want to work where I'm, I got to be answering emails at 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night. I got to be glued to, a screen or text messages or whatever. And I love traveling. So that's it. That's what I do. I cut back on my hours. Sometimes I don't answer phone calls or Teams messages or emails until the next morning when work starts again. And if I see a flight deal, I book it. I'm not waiting for no PTO. I'm gonna book my flight and then I'm gonna let you know I'm leaving. So that is how I have found my work-life balance. And it's easier because I don't have a husband or any kids, so I can get up and go a little bit easier than some of my sorors on this call. But definitely, I'm like, listen, travel keeps me sane, so I'm going to do it. And we just going to have to figure the rest out.
Yeah. I would say I'm still working on the self-care. And I will say that. I recognize I can't manage it all, but as far as the self, I'm still working on that. That's an opportunity for me, because a lot of times I can get caught up, but I love to travel too. So, but I'm working on self-care. I'm trying to find that in the calendar. I did go to the gym today. I mean, not today, Monday. I went once. I felt good too. I'm like, oh,
that's good.
I'm gonna go. I ain't been back since, but I'm trying.
Progress. And Ashley, when you book that deal, call them. They have, look, trips to Dubai for $500.
Now I'm about a trip.
Sia and I went to Rome and Paris for, what was it, $700 for a week? We'd be out here in these streets.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yes, well, thank you all for sharing. And what I love is just the diversity of experience and thought. It's beautiful. So I know we've been talking about diversity, but it's true. All of you bring something so special to the Fortitude Collective. So how can our listeners connect, with you all?
So I'll say right now, we are working on our social media platforms right now. So we do have an Instagram, it's in construction. We're working on improving that, but it's the Fortitude, the IG handle is the Fortitude, Fortitude Collective.ibmc. We also have, that's our email address as well. And we have a Facebook page. But again, like Ashley said, we're coming back, rebranding ourselves in 2022. So a lot of that will we can definitely share our personal IG handles as well as our other social media handles to get in touch with us. But you will see more. You will see new branding coming to you very soon.
But we will still be the Fortitude Collective.
Yes, we will.
And we will bring in our chairs.
Yeah, I love it. The strength. I am here for it. So for all of our listeners, I will put their IG handles in the show notes, but please feel free to share them now as well.
Well, you can find me at Sia DeLawyer. That's CIADALAWYER. Sia DeLawyer. That's on Instagram.
And I am Foxy26. That's FOXCIE26. That's my personal IG handle. But you can also find my business page at curated__creatives on IG. So curated__creatives. For those who don't know how to spell curated, it's CURATED.
And my Instagram is browneyes719, BRWNEYEZ719. And if you need a diversity, equity, inclusion consultant, you can find my business page, which is Beyond Boundaries Consulting at BBC_585.
Mine is Quanda32, or if you want to find me on Facebook, it's Taquanda Hill.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, ladies. And before we wrap up tonight's show, I love to ask all of our guests for a personal affirmation. So for this one, I'm going to start with Jasia.
Ooh, so for me, mine is actually a Bible verse. It's Philippians 4:13. I have it tattooed along with my sister circle of girlfriends. And I truly believe I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So that is what I believe in my darkest moments and my highest moments. Me and God got all this thing wrapped up.
Amen to that. And to Quanda.
Can't be what you don't see.
I love it. Ashley?
See, I thought about this beforehand and I don't really affirmation.
Book it. I'm just joking.
That's a good one. Right? Yeah, okay. I mean, I think I say to myself a lot, I am who I am. I am who I am. And, at the time, it could be one thing, 2 months from now, it might be something else. But, I am who I am. And right now, I am a woman who is finding her way to something better.
Beautiful. And Tamika.
I also have the Philippians 4:13 tattoo, so that's definitely one of them. But my other one would be delay is not denial.
Fantastic. Well, I just want to thank you all on behalf of myself and our listeners for spending time with us tonight, for dropping so much knowledge and nuggets and sharing being authentically you all. So we are so grateful to have the Fortitude Collective on the Confidence Restored podcast by CC America. And to all of our listeners and to the Fortitude team, until next time, we hope and pray that you all will be blessed and continue to prosper. And on that note, have a good night.